Hello and welcome to another video on my channel, and today we are at, where are we? We're in Spain, Catalunya, for round one of the Manufacturers Cup. So it's the official season now, the 2021 season, and we have decided to pick Aston Martin as our manufacturer. So going into this race we should be reasonably quick, but possibly struggle a little bit with tyre wear and fuel usage as well. So it's a very, very high tyre wear race, this one. And reasonably quick is exactly what I was in qualifying. So you can see here the green Ollie Racing Aston Martin GT3 car in pole position. So we're on pole here with a 1 minute 42.9 lap, and that's a a tenth and a half ahead of Colin in P2. We'll just run through the grid here quickly, and you can see just 3 tenths back to 6th place. Very, very close qualifying session. It always is in these FIA races, and earlier on in the day we did do a couple of races, and just being 4 tenths slower than what I managed in this race put me in 15th in one of the races earlier. So very good that we managed to get a lap together and starting on pole. So as we cross the line to start the race, then we can see the red arrows flying overhead, if they're even called the red arrows in Spain, I'm not really sure. So it's a rolling start then as we head down into turn 1 for the first time. So we've got 17 laps to complete in this race, and you'll notice I'm starting on the racing hard tyres. So there's 3 tyre options available here today: the softs, mediums and the hards. Obviously we qualified on the softs, and now we're starting the race on the hards, and I'll explain why in just a minute. But you can see we've got the Subaru all over the back of us in the rear view mirror then, and going up into the right hander, he goes for the move and gets that done. So we've been caught napping a little bit there on the opening lap, and the Subaru is very, very good through the quick corners. So he's just been able to follow us closely through the long right hander, and then he's taken full advantage going into the turn 1, 2, 3, 4 I think it is. So back to what I was saying about the tyre options is there's 3 options available: soft, medium and hards. And in this race generally there's 2 strategies that are kind of playing out. So one will be to use the hards and softs and then do a one-stop race, and the other strategy, which a few drivers have been trying earlier on, is doing a no-stop strategy. So starting on the hard tyres, trying to make them last right up until the end of the race, and fuel saving as well. So fuel is definitely an issue in this race too, and you won't be able to get through the whole race without refilling unless you do some substantial fuel saving. So our strategy is starting on the hard tyres, but we're going to try to push reasonably hard if we can, but we'll be doing a few short shifts here and there just to save a little bit of fuel. But we are going to push on and try to build a bit of a gap to those cars that will be trying to no stop in this race. As we go down into turn 1, you can see the Mercedes behind the Portuguese driver getting very, very close again, and you can see up ahead Colin, the Belgian driver, is already now nearly a second ahead. So he's got some very good pace, and at this stage of the race I'm wondering whether maybe he's starting on the soft tyres. Obviously that is another option, is to go start on the softs and then pit and move on to the hard tyres later on in the race. The reason everyone is going to be using the hard tyres at some point is that that's the only tyre compound that is required during the course of this race. So every driver must have the hard tyres fitted in at least one of their stints in the race. So we can see Colin up ahead now, 1.3 seconds ahead, so he's really, really pushing on, and we're kind of in 2 minds here. We want to try and stick with him the best we can. We don't want to push the tyres too much because we're going to be going to lap 10, end of lap 10 in with the hard tyres on, and we want to make sure they last until then. And we also want to try and save a little bit of fuel because we are going to have to refuel at the pit stop, and the more fuel we save, the less time we're going to have to spend stationary in the pits while we're refueling. So again, we also have to make sure we're covering off the Mercedes, the Portuguese driver behind, because we don't want to lose any more places in this race. So at this point I'm just trying to hold on to this position, not lose too much time to the Belgian driver up ahead, and hopefully he'll be on the soft tyres and we'll be able to come back at him later on in the race as we cross the line to finish lap number 2 then. So we're going to jump forward towards the end of lap 7 now then, because to be honest, not a lot happened during this opening phase of the race. We're still exactly how it were, with Colin up ahead and the Portuguese driver behind. But do stick with it, because the end of this race is absolutely fantastic. But as we come around the final corner then, we see that Colin doesn't dive into the pits, which tells me that, seeing as he's going to be now starting lap number 8 on the same set of tyres, he's probably also on the hards like I am, and he's probably just pushing on them a little bit more than I have been. So we're 2.3 seconds behind now, so we're not out of this one altogether. And if you have a look in the top right hand corner at the little track map, you can see the front 3 drivers have just started to pull away from the chasing pack behind. So reading into that then, it looks as though myself, the Belgian up ahead and the Portuguese driver behind are all on the hard tyres, but probably going to be doing a one-stop strategy, with the chasing drivers behind probably just going a little bit slower, saving fuel, saving their tyres, and will probably try to be no stopping in this race. Jumping forwards again then onto the end of lap 10, and this is the lap we're going to be pitting, and you can see we've now dropped the Portuguese driver behind nearly 3 seconds back, and we are 2.5 seconds behind the Belgian up ahead. So we enter the pits, you can see we have indeed saved a little bit more fuel than he has, which means we could do a slightly quicker pit stop, but we're going to just overfuel the car a little bit, which is going to allow us to push a little bit harder through this stint on the soft tyres. And you can see as we come out of the pits then, we can cross that white line. No penalties on Gran Turismo for crossing the blend line as we come out of the pits, so taking the racing line and gaining as much time through turn 1 as possible. And yeah, if you look to the delta then on the left hand side, we are 26 seconds behind Mario, who's currently leading the race, with 7 laps to try and catch up. So that is a lot of time to make up. And if you look at the map in the top right corner, you can see that the leader is just going into the hairpin at the end of the back straight there. So we're going to have to push very, very hard in order to catch up. And to be quite honest, at this point in the race, I thought, you know what, maybe we've done the wrong strategy here, because those top 3 or 4 drivers look like they, look like they're so far ahead. There's absolutely no way that we're going to be able to catch up. So we've just got to get our head down, put in some good laps, but crucially try to save the tyres at the same time. The fuel shouldn't be too much of an issue because we've overfilled the car slightly, but we really need to make sure we've got some tyres towards the end of the race, because if we're able to catch up with those leaders, we're going to need some good tyres to get involved with the battles and try to get some overtakes done. So we can see up ahead then, Colin has already made a move on the Spanish driver just up ahead. So this is going to give us a great indicator as to just how much faster we are. So if we look at the split time on the left, we were gaining quite a lot, but then we lost out towards the end of the straight, just where the Spanish driver was able to jump in the slipstream of Colin. But as we come through this long right-hander then, you can see the Nissan drifting out wide, although we do kind of follow him a little bit there, but you can just see how much time we're starting to gain where he's saving fuel, and you can see he's put his hazards on and he's going to move over to the left hand side of the track and just allow us to go through. So very, very sensible driving from him. He knows that he's in quite a desperate situation, and he really, really needs to save his tyres, save his fuel, and not lose any time battling if he wants to get a good result in this race. So jumping around to the end of lap number 12 then, as we cross the line, and you can see we're 18.8 seconds behind the leader with 4 or 5 laps left. So by my maths, we should be right on the leader by the end of the race. And we can see here, just for the first time, we're able to see some of the cars up ahead, 2nd and 3rd place in sight now as we come around the final corner to begin lap number 15 then. Gap down to the leader, now within 10 seconds with 3 laps remaining, and we're going to head further around the lap then. And you can see Colin has got ahead of Ryan just up ahead. As we go a little bit deep into the hairpin, you can see the tyre wear is starting to kick in quite a lot now, but all of the drivers are going to be in the same situation. If you have a look down at the middle of the screen, you can see the laps of fuel remaining is 2.3, so we're perfect for fuel at this moment in time. So we can really push now over these last 2 laps and try to start battling and gain some places. We see Ryan gets very, very sideways, struggling with those rear tyres in that course, and we're just going to breeze past on the straights, clearly in a leaner fuel mix than we are. But yeah, nice easy move done then, and we need to push on towards the 2 drivers up ahead. 2 laps to go then in this race. We can see the leader in our sights now as Colin has moved up into 2nd place, so we know we can probably look to get a podium now with 2 laps to go. And this French driver obviously starting to suffer with his tyres as well. So we come through the right-hander then, and you can just see we're gaining all the time as he gets a little wobble coming out of the corner, ending up quite out wide to the left-hand side, making sure we get it in, but we go a little bit deep as well, also struggling with the tyres, but we're going to get a better exit. And you can see anytime we're in a straight line now, we're just going to have that advantage where these guys are going to be having to save as much fuel as they can. So coming up the hill again, you're going to see it here, we're just going to start closing in on him, and we're going to get a much better exit around the fast uphill right-hander then. And we're quite close, but we're going to go for it, dive up the inside, plant it on the apex. Great clean move there, and fair play to the Porsche driver there for giving us space. Again, he knows that really at this stage he's not going to be able to hold us behind until the end of the race. And we see up ahead then Colin going for a move on the Nissan, and he gets up into 1st place, and we've got 1 lap left to see if we can regain that 2nd place ourselves. So it looks like Colin is now in the driving seat to win this race. And fair play to him, he's driven an absolutely fantastic race, hasn't made any mistakes. The Subaru obviously working very, very well around this track in particular, being a handling car. So down to us then, can we get up into 2nd place and improve the amount of points we're going to score in this race? You can see coming through the fast right-hander, we're gaining time as again the Nissan up ahead drifting out wide. And at this point I'm really pushing, like I'm pushing so hard, have been ever since the pit stop, and yeah, the concentration was just absolutely next level in this one. And to be honest, I didn't really do any mistakes really the whole race, so yeah, it just shows how well Colin was driving up ahead. But we can see here we get a much better exit than the Nissan. He goes defensive up the inside but blocks that off. We get a little bit of wheel spin as we go through the left-hander, so we're not going to be able to get past up the hill. Coming round the fast right-hander then, and the Nissan is going to stick to the left-hand side, cover off the inside, so we're going to have to go the long way round the outside of the hairpin. It's our last chance to make a move. We go very late on the brakes, kick of oversteer, we correct it, but on the outside, slightly better traction. We managed to get the move done, or so we think, but he's coming back at us around the outside. We've got the inside line for this corner and the next corner, and as we go through here, we get that move done. So side by side through a number of corners then, absolutely fantastic racing with Mario there. Really fair driving from both of us. But we've got that move done. We're going to come across the line and finish in 2nd place.
Wow. What a race that was great. Whew. I am sweating like crazy. Wow, that was fun. I really didn't think we were going to be able to catch up after the pit stops. I think we were about 25 seconds behind. Oh, that was a great race. Really enjoyed that. Didn't quite have the same pace as Colin, unfortunately. So well done to him. That was really good drive from him. I thought he was on the soft tyres on the first lap because he came around the first few corners really quickly, so I kind of let him by a bit too easily. But But at least we didn't hold each other up. So yeah, we both got a good result from that.
So second place then has earned me 305 points in this race. So my first time scoring over 300 points in an FIA race, and this season has got off to an absolutely flying start.
Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed that race. I really enjoyed driving it. Catching up to those front drivers on the different strategies was definitely one of my favourite drives I've done in quite a long time. So I really enjoyed it. I hope you did. If you did enjoy it, give the video a like, and if you haven't already, consider subscribing. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.